Hello, everybody. Welcome to Peter's Oblivious Opinions. My name is Michael, and with me I have Pierce.
What up?
And today, we're going to review From Dusk Till Dawn, the 8th movie in our Battle Bracket series, facing off against Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And if you listen to the last episode, I'm sure you've got an idea which movie is going to win. But
What are you
we
talking
will
about? We gave
discuss From
raving
Dusk.
reviews to the last movie.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
But, yeah. Anyways, so Pierce was unable to watch the movie a second time.
Yeah,
So we've decided that he will give the synopsis of the story.
Yeah.
Just because that makes the most sense.
Absolutely. You know, last time I watched this movie was was it 2 years ago when we last watched this?
Probably been that long ago.
Yeah, I think so. So that's the one time I watched it. Didn't have enough time to watch it going into this one. So yeah, we made the logical choice of me giving the recap here. So I'm gonna let's see how this goes. If I make any really bad mistakes, Michael, make sure to correct me.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I believe, this movie has two guys that are friends and robbers, I think. They end up going to this strip club, I'm pretty sure. And somehow this religious family ends up at the strip club as well. Okay. They see a bunch of, dancing and stuff. They run into a whole bunch of weird people. I remember there was a guy named Sex Machine, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Danny Trejo's in it. I don't remember his character name. Essentially, I believe a bar fight breaks out at some point, and then later, when it becomes close to night, everybody turns into these vampires, a bunch of people, and a whole ton of people die, including one of the two robber best friends. The one that's played by Quentin Tarantino, I think, is the one that dies. The other one's played by George Clooney. And the religious family ends up being alive as well. I don't know if the whole family, but at least the dad and I think the daughter. Is it the daughter or the wife? I'm not 100%
Yeah, the daughter.
The daughter, okay. So there's essentially another big fight. I think the dad is some sort of religious person, since he's a religious family, and he figures out that he can throw holy water on them to kill the vampires. How's this going so far before I finish it off?
Pretty good.
Okay. So he figures out he can throw holy water on the vampires. But I think he gets bitten too.
Yes.
But before he turns into a vampire, he ends up killing a bunch of the vampires. And he ends up dying. Someone kills him. I remember Sex Machine turns into this weird creature. And dies. I don't know. This is getting a little rocky now. I think I'm missing a whole survivor here, but that's fine. I just remember all the vampires end up in this huge fight, and then the religious guy dies, and it looks like everybody's screwed, but then there's so many bullet holes inside of the strip club that all the light shines in the morning and kills all the vampires, turning them into dust, I think. Or they, disappear. I'm not really sure 100% if they run away. I think they turn into dust, though. And then the guy that the robbers were meeting at the strip club, yeah, that's it. The guy the robbers were meeting at the strip club shows up and pays them or something. And the surviving daughter and the robber end up going on their way in two different directions, and that's the end. Do you want
Yep.
to maybe fill in anything I might have missed there, Michael?
I think you nailed the last half of the movie. I'll just talk more about the first half.
Okay, sounds good.
So yeah, basically George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino's characters are brothers, and they just robbed a bank and they're trying to flee to Mexico. And they're in, I think, probably like Texas. I don't know. They were like on the American side of the Mexican border, and they just need to cross the border, but they're trying to figure out how to do it because their faces were like highly recognizable. So they're staying in this motel, and this religious, actually, I mean, they're religious, but like not like that religious. I don't know. They don't seem that religious. They say they are. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Anyways, so then they end up kidnapping the family, and they get them to smuggle them in through their RV. And then Carlos, I think, is the guy they were meeting in Mexico, who is gonna just take them to this place. I forget what it's called, but they're just going to this place in Mexico for them to live off their robbery money.
Okay.
And then the shit hits the fan the moment that they get to the bar.
Okay.
Well, not the moment they get there, about a few minutes later.
Just a few minutes.
So, yep. They have a couple minutes of non-stupidity, and then it just kind of hits the fan.
Okay. Sounds insane. And yeah, sorry that I didn't really get a whole ton of time to watch this movie, but I was able to look up a few clips and trailers of it before, so I think that'll be good enough for this rating.
Honestly, you did pretty well on the plot.
Thank you.
Like, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, how do you even remember this?
I'm not gonna confess to something here a little bit. I might have had the Wikipedia page up while I was giving that.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. All right.
Okay.
So, I guess we can review the plot.
Absolutely. What do you want to start with? Oh yeah, plot. You just said that. I'm out to lunch.
Well, I want to say that in this movie, they do such a good job of like the initial setup of the movie, where like George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino are trying to like get across the border, and there's a clear
motive.
Like, their relationship is clearly dressed.
Okay.
And it's like kind of high stakes, them getting across the border.
Right.
Like, they really set it up to be a good movie. And it's like really intense.
Yeah, for some reason that whole part with them kidnapping that religious family is completely gone for me, but I do remember that like robbery scene at the start really setting up a lot of tension between the two of them, right from the get-go, and a lot of action.
Yeah, basically their relationship dynamic between the brothers is Quentin Tarantino screws everything up, and then George Clooney is just always angry at Quentin Tarantino for screwing everything up. But they're brothers, so they don't kill each other. That's essentially it.
So they hate each other, but they don't kill each other.
Yeah, well, they don't hate each other, but definitely
frustration.
George Clooney would be better off by himself. So there's clearly some frustration there, but he's not going to abandon his brother.
Makes sense, yeah. Yeah, as far as I remember from the plot for this one, I remember it being actually pretty decently well thought out plot for what seemed like an action movie. There was a lot of, like you said, relationships between the brothers, or whether that's between the family, or whether that's that relationship between the family and those brothers, and how stressed that is. I seem to remember that being written fairly well in the movie and incorporated actually pretty decently within the action that was happening, which gave it kind of both an emotional feel as well as that kind of, I don't know, animalistic feel that comes with an action movie.
Yeah.
Plus, all those memorable characters too.
Oh yeah, so many memorable characters, like Sex Machine.
Sex Machine.
Who has, I think, his dick is a gun.
I think I remember that too.
It's yeah, it's pretty hilarious. And another thing too about this movie is they set up like them fleeing to Mexico, crossing the border before they get to the bar. That's probably like at least half the movie. So you don't even see any vampires at all. And actually, when I watched it with Kaylin, I didn't tell her that it was a vampire movie.
Okay.
So it was like an hour in. There's like 30 minutes left in the movie, and then all of a sudden people start turning into vampires, and she's like, what the hell?
She's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I remember the first time I watched it, you had watched it before as well. And I think we had a very, like, I kind of knew there was vampires in it, but it was a very similar experience too, where it was like, what is going on right now?
Yeah, it's like a genuine WTF moment.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know it was a vampire movie, it would catch you completely by surprise.
Yeah.
So if anyone hasn't watched the movie, unhear that sentence I just said, and then go watch it.
If we had a post-production team, we'd get them to change around the way we said that, but
Yes.
us two, we're the post-production team, and I don't have the skills to do that.
Yeah, there's not really even any post-production.
No,
It's
literally
just
no
a production.
post-production.
One take.
One take. See what happens.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. Those are some really good points. Again, for some reason, that whole like part with the family getting kidnapped is just gone from my memory. But I do remember as soon as everything like hits the fan and everything goes crazy with the vampires, it's just like weirdness and wackiness and action that somehow melds together, which is a hard thing to do. And I don't know if that's the writing or whatever, but I'm going to put that in plot as how well that works together.
Okay. Yeah, the way they did the fight scene was pretty comedic.
Yeah. And even just like with the light shining in the bullet holes at the end, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, and it's so dumb because like they're shooting holes in the walls to create light.
Yeah.
But like they could have easily just been shooting the vampires.
Yeah. Or fleeing towards the light.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I mean it worked out for them, but I'm not sure I'd rely on my freaking trigonometry skills to try to hit it at the perfect angle to get the light in.
Yeah.
That would just be yeah, that would not work for me. I would get wrecked.
Yeah, me too. I'd be dead immediately.
You would be Sex Machine.
Well, I would. I don't know about that one. I think I'm more of a father religious man there.
Okay, fair enough.
Throwing
I would
holy
be
water.
Sex Machine.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. I would be.
Oh, go ahead.
Huh? I would be all three of the Cheech characters.
All three of them. Is that that's Cheech from Cheech and Chong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think actually I would be the Texas Ranger that uses the bathroom at the start.
The first guy you see get killed. Yes.
Yeah, that's me. First one to die.
I would be the bank teller that they kidnapped. I don't know if you remember that part.
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
But yeah, basically, Quentin Tarantino's screwed in the head. I like how I'm saying that actor's name, but I'm talking about the character.
Okay.
So Quentin Tarantino's character is screwed in the head. And they kidnap this bank teller who's probably like a woman, like age 50-ish. And they're keeping her in the hotel room. And George Clooney's tells Quentin Tarantino to watch the hostage.
Okay.
So you know how that's going to go. So he goes and leaves to like scout out the border crossing, which I don't know why he needed to scout out the border crossing. It's a border crossing.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
I feel like they all kind of look the same. But anyways, so he comes back and Quentin Tarantino like murders her or something, and he's just so pissed. So that would be me getting murdered.
Getting murdered in the motel.
Yes. I don't know why he would leave her with Quentin Tarantino's character, but
I don't know. Maybe he still trusts him no matter how many times he screws up because he's his brother.
probably that's the only explanation.
Scott?
Oh, and also the name of the bar is the Titty Twister.
That is a very creative name.
Oh my gosh. Okay, listen to this. Plot. I'm on IMDb.
Okay.
Plot keywords. The 5 keywords for the plot. The first 5 are sex offender, vampire, stripper, rape victim, pervert.
What?
That sounds. Why are those the plot keywords?
What? Is there a sex offender or anything like that in this movie?
Oh yeah, Quentin Tarantino's like
Oh, okay.
definitely a sex offender.
Okay. Why would those be the top keywords in this plot?
I don't know.
Is
it's
vampire
funny.
in
Okay, yeah, and it says who found them relevant. So sex offender is like 3 of 3 found this relevant,
Hmm.
and then vampire it was like 4 of 5 found this relevant. So who's the 5th guy that didn't see any vampires in this
Yeah.
movie?
Who watched this movie and was like, nah, vampires?
There's none of those. Cleavage is another one. These are the plot keywords. Scantily clad female. There's another one.
Interesting.
Brother-sister relationship?
What? I feel like
This is very...
that is weird. Okay, I just have to point this out. Actually, I'll point it out a bit later, okay?
All right.
Well, I'm ready to rate the plot on what I seem to remember what it was, if you're ready.
Sure. I'm
Unless
ready.
you have anything else to say about it.
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'll let you go first.
All right. I'm going to give it a 3.8 out of 5. Because
Okay.
I enjoyed the plot. Like, I thought they did a really good setup to make it a really interesting movie.
Yeah.
And then the vampires were kind of just like, what the hell is going on? And honestly, the vampires to me were like the least interesting part of the movie.
Okay.
But I thought the plot, like the setup for the plot was pretty good. So, and it was entertaining. So I just gave it a 3.8.
Yeah, I think that's a fair rating. I was going to go pretty high with it based on my memory. So I let you go first so that I could kind of be grounded back to earth too a little bit. But based on my memory, I think I'm going to give it a 4.2 out of 5.
Nice.
Mostly because I remember enjoying it a lot. I remember the plot being interesting and doing a good job with tension and combining that weirdness and action and tension and emotions all together, which is a hard thing to get into a movie.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
And all the characters, like, they kind of, like, each character was different, and so each relationship between each character and another character was different, so they did a really good job with that, I think.
Yeah, me too. I think they did a really, really good job. And making each character unique, which is hard to do, too, as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we can go on to actors.
Yeah, sure. Let's do actors. All right. Do you have a particular actor you would like to start with to make our S to F list?
Sure. Let's start with George Clooney.
Okay. Uh, all right. George Clooney. I think George Clooney does a pretty good job in this movie. I think he carries a lot of the acting in this movie. He's the big name in the movie, other than Danny Trejo, of course. Uh, but I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's the star power in this movie.
exactly.
Danny Trejo,
Danny Trejo.
not George Clooney.
Not, Selma Hayek, who goes on to have a terrific career. Actually, already has a terrific career going into this movie, but definitely Danny Trejo. Um, but I feel like George Clooney, a lot of the tension surrounds him and what he's doing, and he does a good job of being an anti-hero of sorts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like likable in a way.
Yeah. Even though you shouldn't like him.
Yeah, you shouldn't like him, but I think also the contrast between him and his brother,
Yeah.
like they're both bad people, but compared to his brother, he looks like an angel.
Yeah. That's true.
Because his brother is just like a rapist, sex offender, murderer. He's like the worst of everything, and super creepy.
Yeah. I agree. And I think that I don't know, I just think he does a good job of building that tension with his brother and with the family, and then kind of being a hero once the vampires appear, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like he did an amazing job in this movie. I don't know.
yeah, I think so too. Um, he does a good job of like, I don't know, the way he does his character. I'm sure the writing helps, but it's like he's the bad guy, but also it seems like he's not actually that bad of a guy at the same time.
Exactly.
Because if you think about it, like in the movie, he doesn't really kill anyone unless someone attacks him first.
That's true. That's very true. And he does a good
Like,
job of having that kind of stoicism as a hero would have, even though he's a bad guy. And so that kind of gives you that feeling of him being good, even though he's bad. And that's a hard thing to do as an actor, I feel like.
oh, definitely, yeah, he did it perfectly, and he really, honestly, anti-hero is probably the perfect way to put it.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, no complaints about him.
No, absolutely no complaints about him. I think he did an amazing job in this movie. Uh,
Yeah.
all right. I think I'm ready to give him a letter grade here.
All right, you can go first.
I gave him an A.
All right, I'm gonna give him an S.
That's totally justified, and I probably would have too if I had been able to watch this movie again before.
Yeah, he was OP,
Yeah.
and like he really makes the character believable, and there's a really good job in this movie that is definitely not written to be a serious movie, at least in the second half. But
Yeah.
he does a good job. So
Does do a good job. I agree.
yeah,
Now, fun fact about his character, okay? Before
all
he
right.
was cast, I'm on the IMDb trivia page here. A whole ton of actors were considered for the role, but passed due to scheduling conflicts. So before George Clooney, we could have had, I'm just going to skip a bunch of the names and go to some of the ones that I thought would have been interesting. We could have had Steve Buscemi playing his role,
Oh,
Christopher Walken playing his role, Jeff Goldblum, or John Travolta.
John. Honestly, for some reason, I could have seen Jeff Goldblum doing that
I could see
role.
him doing it really well.
And
Honestly,
Steve Buscemi just does everything well. So
yeah, exactly. I think you get any of those four guys in the role, except maybe John Travolta, and they kick it out of the park. They hit it out of the park.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that's Christopher Walken. I would love to have seen that. How about Christopher Walken as George Clooney's character, and then Jon Voight as Quentin
Oh
Tarantino's
my
character?
gosh. Perfect.
Because
Absolutely perfect. And
they
then
look
Steve
kind of
Buscemi
similar in
as
a
Selma
weird way.
Hayek's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, Jon Voight's face looks like he's Christopher Walken, but ate something sour. Like, do you see it? Do you see that?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I absolutely see that. Those two
Okay.
guys.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny.
Yeah,
Anyways, should we move on to the next character?
for sure. Who do you have an idea of who you want to do next?
Let's do Quentin Tarantino.
Okay. Now, I think Quentin Tarantino, better director than he is actor. In this movie, I feel like he's just playing a weirdo, and he does a good job of being weird, and I feel creeped out by him.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely does give off creepy vibes.
Yep. Lots of
And
creepy vibes.
he does a really good job with this character.
He does.
And just like the look he has on his face at any generic moment, just
Gives off those creepy vibes.
Yeah, it gives off creepy vibes. So
Lots of creepy vibes, especially in that gas station when they rob it. And he's just whispering to his brother instead of saying it out loud. Even that's creepy, and I don't even know how to explain how that's creepy. It's just creepy.
Yeah, so creepy. But he does a good job, and I'm always impressed when I don't think Quentin Tarantino was a big actor, was he?
No, I don't think
Just
so.
a screenwriter and director.
Yeah.
So I'm always impressed when people aren't really actors, but then they come in and just do a really good job.
I agree. And
like that guy Jonah from Green Inferno, who's a crew member or something.
He was really good. Yeah, no, I agree with you that as much as I don't know, I just don't think Quentin Tarantino's a great actor. But again, we don't have a huge sample to go off of, and this is one of the big ones we have to go off of, and he knocks it out of the park by being creepy.
Yeah,
he kills it.
I feel like he wouldn't really be a main lead actor. I guess he was kind of a lead actor in this movie, but he seems like a good side kind of character.
I agree.
Role.
I heard he passed on directing it. It says on the IMDb trivia just to play the role.
Well, that was probably a good choice, honestly.
Yeah, because I don't know.
I just think he does perfect for job. That specific role.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is a perfect, and he has such a unique look to him that you would just associate immediately to someone who might be creepy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I don't think he has that look necessarily when he's just in normal life because he looks a bit happier and cheerier. But he has that look going for him where if he bends his face a certain way or acts a certain way, you immediately would associate him with that,
Yeah, no, exactly. And some people are just they're just built for side roles.
Yeah.
For not really the best way to say it, but he does a good job though.
He fits this role perfectly. I'm ready to give him a really high rating.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, I'll let you go first in this one.
I'm going to give him an A because, I don't want to put him on the same level as George Clooney, but thought he was amazing for that role. And he made a good choice if he decided to act in it instead of direct it. I'm sure he would have done an amazing job directing it too, and it would have been cool to see. Because I think him directing before acting it would be a different movie, but it would still be good.
Yeah, it would still be good. the guy who directed it, Robert Rodriguez, is known for this kind of gritty, kind of grindhouse movie, as it's called.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this is. But I think if Quentin Tarantino directed it, it would be much cleaner, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it would probably be more. Yeah, I think you're right. It would probably be more consistent because the way it was now, it felt like the first half and the second half were like two different movies.
I agree. It felt like the first half was trying to build tension for the second half, but suddenly that tension was gone because the vampires appeared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I gave Quentin Tarantino, I gave him the same level as George Clooney. I gave him an A.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think he
All right.
knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah.
Okay. Who should we move on to now?
Do we want to do one of the religious people?
Sure. Okay. Let's do the dad.
Okay. Harvey Keitel.
Yeah. Where is he?
What's your opinion on his take on a religious father?
Honestly, I wasn't really impressed with his character. I don't know if it was like I was thinking it's got to be the writing, but
you know what I think it is? I think he does an okay. Though. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was thinking it's the writing, but George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino just smash it. So I don't know. I just didn't really find sometimes when he was acting and saying words, I was just not convinced of his character, not convinced of what he was saying. It didn't feel like what he was saying matched what he was believing for some reason.
Okay. I think that's a fair take, and I agree with you that something was off with his character, but I'd like to argue that maybe we put a lot of this offness into costume design, because I feel like his costume design really threw me off of who his character was the whole time, made him seem really weird and nerdy rather than religious and the type of character he really was. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he was supposed to be an ex-pastor.
Yeah.
So he left religion.
Yeah, okay. But I do feel like still that his outfit hindered him from acting, in my opinion. I don't know. That might just be me.
That's an interesting take.
That hat is pretty goofy.
Really? I kind of actually, now looking at it, the hat does the kind of. He should have taken his hat off. He would have looked more serious if he took his hat off.
Yeah, I honestly think I would be able to take him much more serious without the hat.
That's funny.
I don't know. That might just be me, though. I am also going off of seeing this movie once 2 years ago and some clips today.
And just looking it up.
Yeah. So if you guys are going to trust someone's review on acting in this one, make sure you're trusting Michael's.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I just wasn't really convinced with his acting. And he seems like he's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah,
and
he's a famous name for sure.
Yeah, so that's why, I don't know, maybe I wasn't just getting it. I don't know, but
no, because I definitely remember when I watched this feeling really off with this character as well, that it just wasn't hitting for me either.
Yeah, it just wasn't believable for whatever reason.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, I'll give him a letter grade first this time. Okay. This might be way off of yours because I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I gave him a C.
Yeah, I was actually going to give him a C as well.
Okay, well, mine's based off of just general feeling of that something was off with his character when I last watched it, and looking up his outfit and thinking that's the reason why.
Well, could be. I was thinking just, I didn't really believe it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just gave it a C.
That's fair. That's super fair. All right.
All right. I think, should we move on?
2?
I guess we can give acting a rating first.
Okay. All right. Now we do, have. I think for this one, since there's so many unique characters, before we give it a rating, I think we should give a rating that is other characters and just group all of the other characters together and give them a letter grade. All the other actors.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Like Sex Machine and that
Yeah,
the black guy, Vietnam War vet guy.
Yeah, and like Danny Trejo's character.
And Danny Trejo.
And yeah. How do you feel about that?
Sure.
Okay. So I felt like the intricacies. I completely mispronounced that, but I can't say that word, but just like the kind of uniqueness of each character was really pronounced and really well acted from all those characters and really believable in that kind of weird, over-the-top way that gives kind of like this movie its own unique feel that makes it so entertaining to watch, in my opinion. Again, this is based off feelings from 2 years ago, but that's just what I seem to remember. And I remember that being one of the better parts of the movie, and so I gave them, since I believe any of these kind of not really background characters, but like side characters had the same acting chops of George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino in this movie. I gave them a B for all the other characters.
That's fair. I agree with you. Like, having all these different characters with their own quirks and stories kind of just added some magic to the movie, I think.
For sure.
And made it a lot more entertaining. So, you know what? I'm going to give him an A.
Hey, that is
other people.
Absolutely justified. And I feel like everybody sells their character really well.
Yeah, they all commit to their characters.
Yeah.
Especially Cheech committing to all three of his characters.
Absolutely. What a performance from Cheech Marin.
Okay. So, also before we go to the rating, shout out to the daughter. She actually did a really good job, I think. She was definitely the strongest actor of the family of three there.
That's I seem to recall that as well. She herself would probably get in somewhere around an A, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's give it a rating.
Okay. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 for acting.
Okay.
I think I think this movie was probably one of the strongest acted movies that we've seen.
Yeah.
Out of all 8 of those movies. Because there's just so many good actors in this movie. Even though it's like kind of a goofy movie, like everyone in it just does such a good job.
Yeah.
For some reason, the only people I had problems with were the dad and the kid, like the boy.
Okay.
I didn't think either of them were particularly good, but everyone else I thought was really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of what happened in the movie, and I'm definitely feeling the same as you in that aspect of like, I remember all of those kind of background characters, like I said, were really well acted. They gave the movie kind of its own feel, and since they were so well acted, that really, really boosted the movie. Plus, such a great performance from, George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino really carried the movie a lot as well. But I just felt like when you have a character that's on a kind of like a redemption storyline, like the father was, you kind of want a bit better acting out of that, and so I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what? I gave it 4.05 out of 5.
All right. That's gonna. Don't think it was gonna beat Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, but I think that's gonna set it over the top.
It's the feather on the camel's back.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, where should we move?
All right. How do you feel about doing costume design, since I talked about that a little bit in this last one?
Sure. You can start.
Okay. Now, costume design in this movie, absolutely terrific, except for the father. That hat completely invalidates any sort of acting that guy does. I am absolutely against his outfit, his look in particular. It is like, I guess it kind of gives a little bit of a vibe of like ex-priest, with the white shirt, black pants. But it doesn't give his character any sort of justification for how he's acting, what he's doing, anything. And I think that really, really undermined Harvey Keitel's performance. Anyway, I'm very passionate about that. Other than that, I think the costume design's pretty good. George Clooney's character and Quentin Tarantino's character look like, George Clooney looks like a badass. Quentin Tarantino looks like a creep. The vampire and the makeup and stuff, it's all over the top, but really, really cool. Any sort of special effects, because we've been kind of throwing that into costume design, it's all, again, kind of over the top, but gives it that grindhouse kind of horror movie feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like all goofy.
Yeah.
But really well done.
I agree.
And I love all of Cheech's different costumes to make him look like a different guy every time.
Pretty good. I can't say that's something that stuck out for me from 2 years ago, but I believe you.
It's just funny seeing him wearing 3 different costumes.
Yeah. Also, a pistol on Sex Machine. Pretty good costume design choice.
Yeah, it was.
Thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like sorry, go ahead.
I'm with you there. I think the costume design was really good. Personally, I don't have a problem with what's the dad's outfit.
Okay, that's absolutely fair.
He's like going to Mexico in his RV and he's wearing like white shirt and a hat. Seems like a smart thing to wear when you're going to Mexico. But sure, okay. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the costumes. I thought the costumes were good. I thought they made sense with what the movie was.
Yeah.
So they're going to get a high rating for me.
Okay. Well, you know what? I feel like all the costume design was great except for his. So they'll probably get a high rating for me as well, but I'm going to dock some points for that.
Okay.
I'll go first in this one, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, to be honest, I felt like the costume design in this movie was a 5 out of 5, except for the dad. And because of the dad, I bumped it down to a 4.3 out of 5.
A 4.7 for his hat.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give it a...
Whoever did costume design, but that I wasn't a fan of the hat.
I thought the hat made sense.
It absolutely makes sense. I just think it makes his character goofy. Like, they could have chosen a different hat. I don't know. It's just a feeling.
That's so funny. Okay. I'm going to give it a 4.8 out of 5.
Okay.
Because I thought the costume design was, like, really good. And, actually, you know what? I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 because I don't really have any complaints.
You're absolutely justified in doing that, and I agree with you in all aspects except that hat.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to give a note here.
Okay. From
Dusk Till Dawn could get 0 in the next 4 categories and still beat Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's so much better than Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh, I know. It's just hilarious.
Now, if we were talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1, this would be a lot closer. But that second one is... Oh.
Yeah, that second one's bad. Okay, let's move on.
All right, you choose the next one.
Okay, let's do soundtrack.
Okay.
And I'm guessing after your 2 years that you don't remember much about the soundtrack.
I do not, but I looked it up. Okay. And I'm gonna judge it off of the name of the song titles and what I listened to before this podcast, but I won't be able to kind of put that into the movie and how it affected the movie. That'll be up to you.
Okay, that's going to be rough because I also don't remember the soundtrack.
Okay, that's fine. You know what? The whole idea of this podcast is that we're absolutely unjustified in giving any of these opinions. So, perfect.
Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? I don't remember any of the soundtrack until they get to the titty twister.
Okay.
And then I remember like the music. They have like a live band playing.
Okay.
And it's like, I think their song choices are good, especially when Salma Hayek comes out and does her whatever thing.
Yeah.
The soundtrack or like the music they played that time definitely fits with the scene. So I thought that the soundtrack, other than like, I remember probably 5 minutes of soundtrack out of the whole hour and 48 minutes of the movie, but
Okay.
it seemed pretty good to me at those points.
That's solid. That's solid.
Yes.
Based on the names of the soundtrack on my side here, just having a song named "Sex Machine Attacks," it's getting some points right there.
That is a pretty good song name.
Yeah. Or like Texas Funeral. I'd listen to that.
Texas Funeral.
Yeah. I don't know. Chet's Speech. Interesting choice, but it's a dialogue extract from Cheech. I'd listen to it. Angry Cockroaches. What a name. Like, I think these are pretty good. And there's some good bands in here, like ZZ Top does a lot of the soundtrack. Or Stevie Ray Vaughan has a song in the soundtrack called Mary Had a Little Lamb.
What are the song names?
I don't know. And what I listened to, I enjoyed it. I enjoy music, but I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't terrific, but it wasn't bad. And from what you're saying, it seems to have some sort of implication in the movie, which I love.
Sorry, what was that last part?
Just like from what you said, it seemed to have some sort of implication within the movie, the soundtrack, which I'm a big fan of when they do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was decent. Definitely don't know enough to give it an accurate rating, but
Neither do
from
I.
what I remember, it was pretty good.
That's yeah. From what I remember from 2 years ago, it was pretty good, and what I listened to before this. One of the genres in this soundtrack, looking at the Wikipedia page, is alternative country and neo-traditional country.
Neo-traditional country?
Yeah.
Huh.
No idea what that is.
Me neither. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you go first on this one because I might base a little bit of my rating off yours.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay.
Because I thought it was decent, but not really memorable other than when they're in the bar, which is memorable.
That's fair.
But yeah.
All right. So I was thinking kind of middle of the pack since it wasn't something that I remembered from 2 years ago, but I kind of enjoyed listening to it now and some of the names and stuff. And I also didn't listen to the full soundtrack, or else I would have just watched the movie. But yeah, as I remember, some of the names are amusing. I like a lot of the artists. I was thinking middle of the pack, but kind of want to see where you were going to put it first. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 as well.
All right. Sounds good. That's fair. Okay. So where should we move to next?
How do you feel about cinematography?
I feel like we should do that next.
Okay. Have you ever thought about doing
Cinematography.
cinematography for a movie, Michael?
No, can't say I have.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Neither have I. I still don't really understand what cinematography is.
I think it's like telling the story, like storytelling with the shots.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
I mean, that's what we've been doing so far on the podcast,
Yeah.
so
So we're
helps.
committing. Okay.
All right. Now, I like this style of cinematography from what I remember. I've been talking about it a little bit before, that kind of grindhouse feel, as it's called. It has a gritty feel. It's, I don't know, almost seems old-fashioned of sorts. There's a lot of kind of gory shots, a lot of like hot, kind of saturated Western shots, and I'm a really big fan of that.
Yeah, I agree. They did a good job filming the fight scene in the bar.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time I find with, actually not a lot of the time, but a fair amount of the time during like fight scenes, I find that movies cut way too quickly between shots and it makes it hard to understand what's going on. But the way they did it, you completely knew everything that was going on. So
I agree.
it
Uh,
was,
I I was never confused if I remember right watching it.
yes, me neither. I thought the cinematography told the story pretty freaking well.
Me
I
too.
don't remember any particular shots where I was like, "Oh wow, this is interesting."
Me neither. But I also feel like cinematography was very important to the feel of this movie and what gave it its such a unique kind of horror comedy action movie feel as well.
Yeah, like in what way?
Like I was kind of saying with that grindhouse kind of feel. Um,
Mhm.
if this movie, we were talked about it earlier, if this movie was shot by Quentin Tarantino, it'd have more of a clean feeling and would be more serious. But the fact that it's kind of shot in a lower quality with a lot more gory kind of shots that are saturated gives it that hilarious, not hilarious, but goofy feel, but still scary, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's kind of like how we were talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Um, the first one, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, does a really good job of getting that kind of gritty feel, but it doesn't get the comedy into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's like they tried adding that comedy in the second one, but they were lacking a lot of that gritty feel for it to work. And this movie seems to combine both those things really well.
yeah. I was just thinking as you said that basically From Dusk Till Dawn and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2
Mhm.
actually seem to have similar goals of what they were supposed to be,
Yeah,
but From Dusk, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 just did it all wrong,
I agree.
and then From Dusk Till Dawn did it all right.
I absolutely agree. 100%.
Nice.
Uh, I don't know if you're ready to give a rating on this, or if there's something else you want to mention about the cinematography.
No, I think I'm ready.
Okay, me too. I will go first, and I gave this
Sure.
5 out of 5 in cinematography. I think this movie
Woo.
fails without that type of cinematography.
All right, fair enough. I'm giving it a 4.2.
That's a solid rating as well. 0.2?
4.2, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Because, I don't know, it's like, I don't remember any freaking shots that were like breaking down barriers or anything like that.
Okay.
Like, there's no like really unique shots that I remember, but I did think they did a good job. Which, that being said, it's not like you need fancy shots for a movie to be good.
Yeah,
I just don't want to give it too high because
that's
I don't
fair.
know. I don't want to. I don't want to top off the limit of cinematography with this movie in my own mind.
That's absolutely fair. This might be another me regretting giving it 5 out of 5, but I think this movie is trash without this cinematography.
We'll see. Okay.
All right.
So, but now we can move on to the Donnie.
The best rating category of all.
The most important rating category of all time.
The absolutely most important. Now, go ahead.
No, you can start. I don't really know what I'm going to say yet.
Okay. There's not a whole lot of connection to Donnie here. However, there's Danny Trejo. Donnie. Change one letter.
That's true. That is pretty close. And you know what? In a way, for me, like, Danny Trejo isn't a Donnie Wahlberg, but
he's pretty.
In my eyes, he's got some similar star power to Donnie Wahlberg.
I agree. Danny Trejo, pretty good.
Because he's always does a good job in the roles he's in.
Yeah.
Whether they're serious or not. Most likely not.
I agree with you on there.
But it wasn't, I do want to say, I thought it was a missed opportunity having Texas Ranger Earl McGraw played by Michael Parks instead of Donnie Wahlberg. I really thought Texas Ranger Earl McGraw would have been perfect Donnie Wahlberg role, just him at the start, opening up the movie with him talking to this person
and dying
and then getting brutally murdered.
Yeah. That's the key to a perfect Donnie Wahlberg role. Detective, guys, serious dude.
Yeah, serious dude, law enforcement.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like if Donnie Wahlberg played that role, this movie, just out of pure star power, moves to a 5 out of 5 in every category, even soundtrack. Because I would include Donnie Wahlberg's dialogue in the soundtrack. Like, that's how good it would be.
I agree. If they put Donnie Wahlberg in here in any degree, this is getting 5 out of 5. But he's not.
Yeah. They had Danny Trejo, who was... Danny Trejo's been in, I think, 3 out of 8 of these movies that we've reviewed.
Guy has good roles.
He does.
And he wasn't in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
No, they missed out. Yeah.
Big time. Now, can we get a Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake? Get this. Donnie Wahlberg, okay? Danny Trejo, Steve Buscemi, Christopher Walken, okay? And you choose someone.
Obviously Jon Voight.
Jon Voight, there we go. Those 5 in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We can have the best Texas Chainsaw Massacre ever made.
Oh, 100%. Jon Voight would be the perfect, he would be the perfect, in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the old grandpa that sits in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And has the hammer.
Yeah,
that would be the perfect role for Jon Voight.
Yep, Jon Voight. He's like, making a weird face, throwing the hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then we can, the cook. I think Steve Buscemi would do a good job as the cook.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Donnie Wahlberg would be the cop, obviously.
Any officer in the movie would be played by Donnie Wahlberg, ever.
Yeah, even if there's multiple.
Yeah, absolutely. And Christopher Walken is Leatherface.
and it's funny because he looks like Jon Voight, so they'd be in the same family. It would make sense. But then who plays Chop Top?
Chop Top. Just kidding. I think Christopher Walken would be a hilarious Chop Top. Now that you mention that.
Okay, and then maybe Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo would be a good murderer, I think.
He'd be a perfect Leatherface, actually. He's so ripped and big.
Yeah, he'd be a perfect... Yeah, he'd be... Oh my gosh, a shirtless Leatherface, but still with the mask.
Oh my gosh, that'd be perfect.
That would be.
We've just made the best movie ever made.
Yeah, I would see that in theaters multiple times.
Me too. Me too. And then
Even if it was the same plot, same
Exactly.
dialogue, same plot.
Exactly. And you can get like Juliette Lewis, who plays the girl in From Dusk Till Dawn, the daughter. She can be
Yeah.
what's her name there? Was it Spike or whatever her name was? Radio
Stretch.
DJ. What?
Stretch.
Stretch. She can be Stretch. That's right. Yeah. Think she'd do a pretty good job.
Oh yeah, she'd do a great job. And you know what? I want to see Ice Cube as the other guy that works at the radio station.
Yeah.
Who gets hit in the head with a hammer 50 times.
Absolutely. Ice
Ice
Cube.
Cube.
I don't see a better casting choice than Ice Cube.
I agree. That's the ultimate. Nothing like Ice Cube in a role where he doesn't get to be himself.
Ice Cube in a role where he has to play a goofy guy instead of an angry guy.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
That being said, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 for Donnie.
Okay.
Just because Danny Trejo brings it up for me.
Okay. Now, I do agree with you that Danny is very close to Donnie and exudes a lot of Donnie energy in this, which is going to give it a higher rating on Donnie than most. But I don't think a 2 is where I'm going to go with it. I'm going to give it a 1.65.
Okay, 1.65. I like it. Okay. Okay.
Hope you didn't hear me knock over all those tin cans.
I heard like the first eighth of the sound,
Okay.
and then it just cut out.
Okay.
Can't wait to hear it on the record, though, or the record. What the hell is it called? The playback? I don't know. Whatever it is, when I listen to it again, can't wait to hear it.
It's going to be terrific.
Yes. Okay. General experience.
I remember enjoying this movie a lot. Like, a lot. It's fun, it's goofy, lots of action, horror, funny, enjoyable. What about you?
Yeah, totally. This movie, I especially like the first half.
With all the tension
Honestly,
built?
yeah, I think the movie also would have been like they could have had no vampires and taken a completely different direction. Thought it still would have been amazing.
That's fair.
So yeah, it definitely deserves a high general experience rating. So I'll probably give it like a 4.7 out of 5.
4.7 out of 5? I'm going to give it a 4.52 out of 5.
Wow, you're really pulling in these specific numbers here.
Yeah. You know, I thought it was better than a 4.5, but not by much.
4.52. Well, and that takes us to the end of the first round of the battle brackets.
Yeah.
It was a close one between From Dusk Till Dawn and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
The closest one I've had.
Yeah, it definitely was. From Dusk Till Dawn only beat it by over twice the score. With From Dusk Till Dawn actually got a 3.85 out of 5.
That's lower than I thought it should get.
Really? And you know what? That's our highest rated movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Second highest was Dead Silence.
Well, I mean, that's obviously deserved. You cast Donnie Wahlberg in a movie, you're going to have a good movie.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think it deserves it, honestly. Like,
Me too. I think we nailed it on the head. I think it probably could have gone higher, like I said, but it being the highest rated movie, absolutely.
Yeah, what brought it down? The Donnie really brought it down. Okay. Without the Donnie, it gets a 4.2 out of 5.
Which I think reflects this movie better, in my opinion.
Yeah, so the Donnie definitely brought it down, but
they didn't cast Donnie Wahlberg in it. That's their problem.
It's true. It's a 4.2 without Donnie, or with Donnie, but without, it's a 3.85.
Absolutely.
It's true.
Absolutely, I agree.
Sure, he would have been available back then in the 90s.
He was,
He would have been happy.
was he in the boy band in the 90s there?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm going to look up his birthday and do the math.
Okay.
1996. He would have been 27 years old.
27.
I imagine. Yeah, he probably would have been in. Actually, I don't know. He's definitely an actor though, because this was only 5 years before Band of Brothers.
Okay. So he should have been in this movie. That's what we've come to the conclusion of. That's our thesis here.
That's a fair conclusion for like every movie.
Yeah. Every movie needs more Donnie Wahlberg.
I agree.
I absolutely agree. All right. Do you have, per chance, what our second round of the battle bracket's going to be?
Yes, I'll just say. So, first, we'll just give a quick recap. Bracket 1 was Con Air versus Doom. Doom defeated Con Air. It was a close one. Well, Anaconda and Commando were bracket 2. Commando defeated Anaconda.
I don't know how. That movie was so good to watch.
4.7 general experience. But I gave Commando a 4.8 general experience. So that might have that might have won for them. Yeah. Bracket 3, Green Inferno versus Dead Silence. Obviously, Dead Silence defeats Green Inferno.
Absolutely.
With Donnie Wahlberg in there, I'm honestly genuinely surprised that From Dusk Till Dawn beat Dead Silence.
Me too, especially because it has Donnie Wahlberg in Dead Silence.
Yeah, it was so good, even without Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah.
It was still better than a movie with Donnie Wahlberg, which I don't even want to go into the paradox or flawed logic that is, but I don't care. We can just ignore it. Okay, bracket 4. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 first, From Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn obliterates Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Not surprised.
As it should.
Yeah, so the next brackets will be Doom versus... Well, I don't know how we're going to do it, but the next section is Doom, Commando, Dead Silence, and From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
All great movies.
Terrific movies. Yeah, I don't know how we're going to rate it in the second round, but we'll talk a bit off air and figure out how to do this.
Yeah, we're going to do a couple random episodes of random things probably while we try to figure out how to do this.
Yeah, I think so too. So there's probably going to be a little bit of break in our battle bracket until it returns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hope you can hear that raging in the background.
I absolutely did. I don't know if it picked up in OBS here, but...
Nice. I hope it did. I want everyone to hear. Okay.
The better movie definitely won here.
I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just gonna, just for the memes, I just want to say this quick. Even if Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 had Donnie Wahlberg, it still would have lost. It could have had a 10 out of 5 from both of us for Donnie Wahlberg, and it still would have lost.
That's brutal.
So that's how bad of a movie that was.
I can't recommend more to choose From Dusk Till Dawn to watch instead of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yeah. If you have 2 hours left to live and you're trying to decide which movie to watch, for God's sake, do not pick Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yes, absolutely. Please do not.
Unless you want to die 2 hours early, because that's probably what will happen. You'll have a heart attack from the disappointment.
From the disappointment, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we always end our movies saying a line from the movie at the same time. Do you have any recommendations? What's
a memorable line?
Let me see some quotes here.
I love how not once have we prepared
A line to
the
say?
finale in advance. Yeah.
That's okay. That's the charm of this podcast. This is why everybody's listening, all three of you.
Maybe we should choose from the plot keywords.
Okay. You choose one.
I'll find one.
Just letting you know, I'm not doing sex offender.
That's okay. How about woman on a toilet?
Is that one of them? Woman on a toilet?
Oh, sorry. No, it's just woman sits on a toilet.
Woman sits on toilet. What?
Or stabbed with a pencil.
I like stabbed with a pencil. Let's do that.
Okay. There's also toe sucking. Oh no, I found the perfect one.
Okay.
Recreational vehicle.
What is it?
That's recreational vehicle.
Okay. Let's go with
That's the
recreation.
perfect summary for this movie.
That is like the worst summary for this movie, but I'm in.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
We'll do it for your classic 5-second countdown. That could easily be a 3-second
Okay.
countdown. Let's go.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2. I forget what we're saying. What are we saying? Recreational vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
sorry.
restart.
We gotta restart. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Recreational
Vehicle.
Perfect. All right. Goodbye, everybody.